Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the Invincible Iron Man Issue 9, 2022. Yeah, and I really like this cover. Granted, we don't get the stealth armor in this issue, but I really like that. It's really kind of cool. And this starts off, again, with tribute to John Romita, and we get into it. So where we left off is that Iron Man was pretty much dead to rights. And we see that the Sentinels are pretty much ready to kind of like go at his ass. Tony's talking about how bluffing is 50% of capitalism and some smaller percentage of the Avengers business. He's bluffed before, but never with everything on the line. He's had nightmares like this. Of course, I wasn't playing cards or stocks or any of the other addictions I once had. I was playing for my life. But the longer I made him think about it, the stronger my hand became. As we see Thor and Captain America popping up, where Fei Long pretty much like, disengage, look for the White Queen and the Quiet Council members, and track the Mark 70 armor. I want to put it with the other antiques in the lobby of the mothership. It's like, fuck you, Fei Long. So we see that the Stark Sentinels start going away, and that Cap comes up, saying that we have to get you to a hospital. No, stay away, Cap. I don't want to be seen with my friends. I want Fei Long to think it's over, that he's beaten me. I have a new suit that will let me continue to be an Avenger, but I'm going to be going dark. The less you know, the better. I'll be in touch. And I like that Tony kind of explains it a little bit, and that Cap's very concerned for him, but he still kind of respects him. So even though it's a small little bit, it was nice to get Cap in this issue like this. And also Thor. And then he's talking about how the weather felt like it was that Tony was out there defying it. Grateful for the late hour and the bad weather. When you're a drunk and the chips are down, you'd be surprised what you are grateful for or not. He's found out a discreet tracker for his armor. He sent it to find Emma. Let's see. So he pretty much starts going down into the subway and finds it pretty much just like standing stock still. After an hour, I got to the lowest point in Manhattan. Don't be mad, open sesame. Anthony, like, I love Tony. Just that little bit, like, don't be mad, open sesame. And it's like, she's been down there in that stock still position in armor that she can't control. Emma has a right to be, like, kind of pissed. I mean, like, how dare you scoop me up into this unwashed sweat box? And I'm glad that she's kind of like, ah! And then she's like, ah, shit, you're injured. It's like, only my everything. Hey, boss, disco protocol. So that way, he doesn't have to keep holding up his cell phone for light. Which, I love that that is his name for, like, hey, give us some light, please. Asks about how he escapes. Says that it was more of a stay of an execution. Killing an Avenger in the streets would be bad for business. He's probably got several plans for when he really wants me dead. Turned up in a gutter with alcohol poisoning. The public wouldn't think twice. No bottom with these people. Everyone with a social media account is now just a useful idiot. Indeed, and dare I ask, is casting me down into the Morlock tunnels more gallows humor? Some humble pie to serve the White Queen? No, I didn't even know that's where we were. I just needed a place with no signal reception. If I can't get one out, they can't get one in. I bookmarked some reading on my long walk down. They're looking for you, and they've got the law on their side. Their Interpol warrants. And then she's like, you mentioned this as if this matters to me. But then, of course, seeing the whole mutant massacre. It showed right now there is no mutant world. What Orcus is saying about the mutant medicines is true. Oh my god. They've been laced with a very complex drug that we can assume is some kind of kill switch. Vision confirmed it, though. Not who is to blame for putting it there. And then, of course, Emma's like, that's the perfect frame. It's like, yeah. Granted, I do like that we get enough of it that even though I haven't been reading the X-Men comics, even throughout various different kind of other comics, I've been able to get what's going on with this. Yeah, there's a lot of that going around. My friend Rhodey's in jail for something I put him up to. And then Emma's trying to censor girls and can't. I don't even know if they're alive. And I really like this. She's kind of freaking out, and Tony does try to comfort her, even though he's not very good at it. And then, of course, he takes, she kind of like, I think this is showing that, like, she kind of, like, pulls away a little bit, and she's just, like, trying to kind of deal with it herself. And I get that. Emma Frost does seem like that kind of person that she wants to deal with this and then go whole ham on whatever needs to be done. He, of course, is like, let's not despair. We have to regain the high ground. You have you X-Men have a fix for that, right? You've solved for death. Maybe. I don't know after tonight. I have to get above ground. I suggest you stay here. If I can't come back, no. I'll come back. Just give me some time, okay? There's a few things I have to do and check on, and then I'll come back. I have an idea about how you might be able to hide. Give me a few hours. What if they're all dead? And I like that. Yes, Tony's trying to talk to her about like his plan of actions, but like, what about Emma's? Then you avenge them. And it's like, yep. I felt terrible leaving Emma alone after everything she'd just been through, but this armor had become an albatross around my neck, and I had to make sure James Rhodes was okay. And then we see that She-Hulk is visiting him in prison, and that he's getting beaten down in there. Of course, Rhodey's talking about it being a frame job. There was nobody there. She's trying to figure out to get to protective custody. He's like, I walked into a door. Look, I don't need it more heat in here. And she pretty much like calls out the warden. The warden's like, oh, we don't have protective custody for murders in Texas. It's like, he is accused of murder, and it needs to be proven that he did murder. So until that, you're supposed to not act like that. And of course, She-Hulk's like, just doing my due diligence. Then of course we get back to Tony in the kind of cab stand as he pretty much sold it for a loss. He was trying to do anything to get Rhodey out. Boss connected Jen Walters now. Then self-delete authorization start Anthony 001. Complying. Tony, I'm just getting out of the prison. Give me some good news. I have the opposite. Rhodes is fighting for his life, literally. As you know, your friend can throw down, but it looks like they're beating him like a drum in that prison. The warden is playing for the other team. He did not try to hide his enthusiasm for Fei Long's fascists and orcists. It's like, that's not good. And Tony then slips a ring into his pocket. It's like, okay. And a really kind of cool thing is I like that his clothes echo kind of his Iron Man suit, even though he's not going to have that at the moment. So, of course, we see that Tony's pissed off, and he's like pretty much wrecking his suit. Fei Long's going to murder him just to watch destroy me. Tony, this is the last advice I have for you because I have to dump you as a client to continue as Rhodey's counsel. Give Fei Long back his armor and get a new lawyer. It's like, damn. So then we get to Stark Unlimited HQ. He had with Boss secretly deleted and the Mark 70 hollowed out. There is no reason not to comply with a court order. He wanted the armor. I gave it to him. And I love how he does it. He pretty much destroyed it, throws it through a window, and says, call off the attack on Rhodes or suffer the consequences. I'm like, yes. Even when you're down, fucking flip him the bird. And of course, Fei Long's like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Your friend Discomfort in jail. I'm gonna get your demonic ass. He says under his breath as he walks away. Of course, then dealing with walking past a bar. And then saying that in those kind of moments, he stops and breathes, does equations, thinks about baseball. He will not give Fei Long the honor of being his nemesis. And then he goes into a wig shop. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's like, no, Emma wouldn't eat it. And then he got back there to nightfall. She wasn't sure that he would return. And it's like, it makes sense. They don't really have that much of a history together. So this is kind of new territory working this relationship with Emma Frost. And then Tony was like, wasn't sure you'd still be here. The Sentinels are hunting. Rumors of deportation to Mars or Araco. I brought you some essentials, a couple of bucks. I don't think I'd be much help to you. I've got to. Oh, I didn't expect you to stay. Krakoa is all but destroyed, but you and the rest of the Avengers have a date with the Mole Man or something? Have you got to run off and build a new billion-dollar armor? Or, hey, not today, lady. All this could have been avoided if you listened to me at your previous key party when I said that Fei Long was outmaneuvering you. And the thing is, I kind of like this heated discussion that we get here. Both had valid points, and both didn't fucking listen to each other, and now they're in a situation that could have been fucking avoided. Now they gotta deal with it. Because she's like, you unctuous, insensitive rube, how dare you lecture me today of all days? It's you who should have been listening to me. Agreed. Like, both of them should have been listening to each other. They should have taken Fei Long more seriously, and she should have taken the outmaneuvering more seriously. We never underestimated any of these ghouls, but we mutants made a promise to each other not to kill any of you small-minded humans. I don't really agree with that kind of sentiment, but I like I'm glad that you're not killing people, but don't look down on people, you know? And he's then starts going, I'm not like Fei Long. He's going to kill my best friend just to break me, as he just starts losing it. And she, of course, tells him to sit. You're experiencing a panic attack. You're concussed. Just breathe. And then Tony just starts kind of losing it. He goes from the anger to just, it's all his fault. Rhodey's on me. Please, I need help. Take it from me. Those could be the hardest words to say, and definitely for Tony Stark. But they could be a golden equation, or if you're not technically minded, the phrase can be a magic spell. As we then see a Stark Industries thing, and then kind of dressed up and going into kind of like a hangar spot. And he's like, "Where? How did we get here? We're in your mind. I simply took you to your happy place. Certainly better than that dreadful alley I found you in last night, as we saw in the last issue. Your idealistic self-image is oddly devoid of the tramps, gunrunners, and non-union MI6 agents that I've long associated you with, so forgive me for my preconceptions. These days, the hangars, they were the best days of my life. I've been ruminating a bit on the past, writing a memoir. I just read it. It's not that good. It's just a first draft. But it's not what I should be working on. I need a new armor, I think, maybe two. And she's like, that sounds expensive, as we see the armors and everything. It's like, yeah. What are you going to do next, Tony? No doubt, but this is war. I know we only know each other in passing, but you should be aware that we then see that he's willing to go for this, not just to die, get the Interpol warrant, and do this smartly. He's got to do a lot of engineering to take on the Sentinels. He's got to come up with new technologies and stuff. Of course, Emma rightfully goes, time's not on our side. The thing is, they failed to kill me, and that was their mistake. It will be their deaths. I will let no man stop me. But smart. We do it smart. So, an alliance. To their deaths? To their deaths. It's like, god damn! Like, I would prefer if Tony wasn't going to their deaths as their kind of mantra, but I know that he's also kind of playing to Emma, and that Emma would go to their deaths for it. It's just, the phrasing of it is just a little bit like, I kind of like them coming together. That's a little bit farther for me. And of course he's like, I have something for you. I did some quick tinkering. I took the size shield out of the Mark 70 before I turned it over. Maybe you should do this, giving her pretty much the ring with the size shield. Of course she's like, oh god, I didn't think this could get any worse. Every day can get worse. Isn't that the mutant motto or something? Of course, bringing up Hazel Kendall, using that as an alias with the whole wig, and a bunch of security clearances, a nice cover, and she hates stifling who she is so that small men can avoid discomfort. I'm like, I completely understand that, Emma. And that's valid. However, we have a shitty-ass motherfucker that could shoot laser beams out of his mouth with, like, giant fucking sentinels that have Stark tech in them. Fight smart and then later do your shit as you. And then, of course, lining back up here is the last ring of hell I could have imagined plumbing to. Wait, where are you? Where are we? Surely you must recognize the Hellfire Club? You can't. This will be the first place to look for you, Hazel. We're not. We're not here on my behalf. If you want to help your incarcerated friend, this is the way. It's like, okay. Let's see, she knew that something was going to be coming, so she transferred everything to a third party who, fortunately for us, shares our grievances. Mr. Reddick, who is the kind of butler, brings up that she's Hazel, and they let her in. Tony was a member. Tony's father was a member here. I remember him well. Sir, a good man. The White King is in his study preparing to meet with his new attorneys. A word of caution, his wife is a mutant and currently missing, so perhaps avoid any political discussions. Oh, my stars and garters, he says. I'm like, I kind of love Tony using that phrase, as we find out that the new White King is Wilson Fisk. It's like, oh god, that's going to present some fucking problems. Welcome, we have much to discuss. Let's get down to business. It's like, well, this is definitely making some interesting kind of bedfellows, because that's just nutty. And then, of course, we get the preview of the next one, detailing Tony's wedding to Emma Frost. So, I like this because it was interesting to see that Tony barely got out of the situation to begin with by the skin of his teeth, because Cap and Thor showed up, but Tony was able to kind of like buck it off, and then getting the kind of calm down kind of issue and the setting up of how Tony and Emma are going to go after Orchis and Fei Long for what they have done to Tony and to the mutants. So I really like this issue because it really grasped what it needed to do. Set the stage of the situation of what's going on. Fei Long pretty much in a very upper hand kind of position, even though Tony and Rhodey fucked up that factory for the Sentinels. Rhodey's in jail, so that's an ally off the board. Tony doesn't have his normal armor and all of his resources, so he's got very limited things, so he has to go look for other allies and other resources. Emma is in the same situation, and creating their alliance to go after these people is really kind of cool. And I like their kind of dynamic. They're kind of butting heads because they're each usually ones that respectively are the ones that kind of take charge in their certain situations, and now they're both on the back foot, and they have to do this alliance and this partnership, and they have to turn to the Hellfire Club and Wilson Fisk. So it'll be interesting to see how Wilson Fisk is going to detail with this and how this is going to work. Normally he's more in the criminal kind of elements. He has been mayor of New York and introduced crazy ass shit. So it'll be interesting to see what his objectives are, what he wants to do, and how he wants to go about this situation, and how Tony and Emma will potentially have to deal with him later on, if they need to deal with him. So there's a lot of crazy possibilities that I was not expecting to pop out of this issue and this run, and I can't just wait to see what goes on next. It's always... I didn't expect when I had heard this run, I'm like, oh, somebody's gunning after Tony Stark. Let's kind of see how this kind of goes. And this just is like going into a crazy weird situation, and I can't wait to see how the stealth armor helps Tony, what new kind of armors he makes, because he has to make new armor and tech to take on the Stark Sentinels, and how Emma will help him out with that, and how he will help Emma out as well. Because this is linking Tony more to the mutants than I've normally seen, and it'll be interesting to see how that kind of changes his stories and the mutant stories. So, those are my opinions on the issue. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.